What's up, everyone? It's Mike and Cory here bringing you the question mark monthly podcast, the LIG podcast, coming here to talk about some games and just some stuff going on. Cory, I think we have to call the month thing into question because we totally hung out with each other last month, and I think both were just like, meh, we'll get to the podcast eventually.
Yeah, and then we got to October.
You see, I'll just put in the video just a question mark of monthly, because now it's like up in the air, but it's fine. We'll get back on schedule. It's okay. But don't worry, while we were gone, a lot of stuff was going on, so there'll be plenty to talk about during these 70 or so minutes of podcasty goodness. So I gotta ask you, Cory, got into any good games lately before we get started? Played anything interesting?
Well, since the last podcast, the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta came out. Well, both betas actually came out since then. I think so, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes. Since both betas came out since. And I gotta say, all I'm gonna say right now is I enjoyed it. But that's it.
That's it.
More to come later.
All right, there we go. If I look back at what I've been playing, I've kind of been laying low. I'm kind of waiting for the those like later in the year releases, so we'll get into that a little bit later too. Kind of just been laying low because I'm broke and rather cheap right now. Just bought a gaming computer, so we'll be trying to get some PC games here soon, but kind of laying low on the whole console gaming side of things, waiting for a few more things to come out. Got my eye on a couple things on the Forza Horizon 4, a couple other games I want to bring up later when we get to our games of the year we're looking at, but we can get to those a little later. The one thing that I kind of want to talk about now is something I was reading about just before we started recording, and I kind of been looking at. Have you heard about this Telltale Games kind of stuff that's been going on for the last week or two You can tell it's been a while since we podcasted because Michael can't talk today. Have you been keeping up with this Telltale Games situation that's kind of started over the last week or so as of us recording this podcast?
Just a little bit, but I mean, I'm just gonna first off saying like it's really screwed up. Like as a person that works and everything as well, and you too. I mean, just the whole fact is like it literally is. I mean, you're under contract and everything to finish something, and you just get laid off a couple hours before, if even that. And I don't know. It's just kind of screwed up.
Well, as someone who has worked and has been in a similar position where we were working and then we were immediately laid off with no warning, it's a really crappy place to be when you're 1 minute literally you're working and you're bringing home an income for yourself, for your family, and the next minute you don't know how you're going to bring home a paycheck to your family. It's a really, really tough situation to be in, and kind of following the story and keeping up with it, my heart does go out to the developers and all those being impacted by this. And, of course, I don't want to speak as if everyone knows about what's going on. I'll give a recap here in a second, but overall, it does bother me that this is going on with Telltale. But as I'll say later, some of the signs were kind of on the wall with this company, and I guess might as well just go and jump in to what's been going on. So long story short, late last month, Telltale announced that they were going into what they called a majority studio shutdown, basically laying off 200 of their 250 employees. And now a lot of reports were that the employees, like we said, weren't given notice. Some saying they were given 30 minutes to basically stop work and leave. And that's just a really crappy place to be. And the company itself announced that they were going to have a small team to try and work on their remaining project. And as most gamers know, just before this announcement, they had just released the second episode of the final season of The Walking Dead. So one of the first questions that's come up lately is, what's going to happen to that franchise, that series right now? Because they still have 2 more episodes on the table that are still pending. And that's a really tricky place for the company to have to deal with because, again, people have pre-ordered the entire seasons and things like that. So it kind of draws into question what happens to that stuff. Now, after that, to that end, some other developments came up a few days later that the company may be shopping around for, quote, potential partners to try and finish The Walking Dead, which then resulted in another twist in the story, which was a lawsuit by the very employees who were just laid off. Basically, the lawsuit is alleging that the company violated the state's WARN Act, which, long story short, the way the WARN Act works is basically, in a general sense, a company has to give notice, 60 days notice, to employees of a mass layoff upcoming. And of course, as with most things, there are exceptions and things that could apply to Telltale as part of this lawsuit or may not. But again, that class action suit has been filed and could have as many as nearly 300 laid off employees as part of it because, again, all of them are in the same boat and they've been named as plaintiffs in this case. And on top of that, as of today, as we're recording this, this is October 5th, more people have been laid off from Telltale. And it seems that these people may have been associated with the final, working on the final things related to The Walking Dead. So what it seems like here is there's a really rough situation here. It's hard to tell if this is the complete end of Telltale, if they're just trying to do something to try and save the company or what, because we already know they had committed to working on a second season of Game of Thrones. They said they were going to work on a second season of The Wolf Among Us, and they had announced they were planning to work with Netflix to develop a Stranger Things Telltale game. So all these projects right now are kind of just in limbo, and even Netflix is just like, they said in a statement that they're, quote, in the process of evaluating other options to bring that Stranger Things universe to an interactive medium. So even they are just like, we don't quite know what's going on with this company. We're already looking around to see where we can take our properties. Looking back on this whole situation, it's like, like I said, it sucks for the people who are involved, the employees, but at the same time, I don't understand quite how Telltale went from being this company who is just so respected and could basically walk in and get any intellectual properties they wanted to try to make a game around, to where they are now, which is struggling to stay afloat and basically going under. So it kind of took me aback when I was kind of reading about all this stuff that's been happening over the last few weeks. It's really insane, man.
Do you have a specific reason why you would think that they could be losing money, or why they would get rid of all these people, like lay them off?
I mean, I've been watching a lot of interesting videos over the last week or so of a bunch of different YouTubers here who have brought up some great points. Hadix is one of them. He did a great piece. I want to say, I could be wrong, it's been at least a year since he did this piece. Kind of this feature on the problem with Telltale, the Telltale problem. And it's kind of a number of things where, in my opinion, this is my opinion, not his or anything, but I think maybe they grew a little too fast for their own good. I feel like it seemed like Telltale, which their history, they were basically a group that came from another studio to come together and complete a game, Sam & Max, that they were working on, bring that together and finish it. Then over time, they eventually were able to get the capital and the investment through a tie-in with Warner Brothers to get their hands on some intellectual properties, which saw the results of Back to the Future and some of those games. And then they just kept going. So they kept trying to get these other properties. So of course you saw them get Batman, get Game of Thrones, get the rights to the Borderlands characters, all these different properties. So now you've gone from a studio working on one game to a studio working on 2, 3, maybe even 4 games in 1 year, trying to churn these out. And of course, The Walking Dead, I feel like, was their big kind of splash on the scene, that first season of Walking Dead, because it told such a compelling story. Maybe not like innovative in a gameplay aspect, because of course we all know Telltale Games are very much the quick time event, press X to dodge out of the way of whatever threat there is. But in terms of storytelling, Hadix made a good point. It reinvigorated that adventure genre back when it started coming out. But then I feel like they stagnated, and instead of maybe taking that money and maybe innovating a little, maybe refining their engine, I'm not saying reinvent the wheel, but maybe refine the engine, make the games a little better, reinvest back into the product. Instead, it felt like they more or less were getting these properties and kind of just churning out the same or similar game over and over with a different skin on it. And when you look at some games like Game of Thrones or even Minecraft Story Mode, which I played all three of those games, all their seasons, and you can tell that just it seems like it's the same game just copy pasted over and over. And it's like, again, I don't want to keep going back to him, but he makes me another good point that I thought about in all my times of playing these games. All of the episodes follow the same narrative structure that you could literally just plot. And I just think that they kind of just stagnated. And when you're a business and you don't get that kind of capital investment you need to make ends meet, and your games aren't selling fantastically, yes, they sold games, but they were never, like, how do I put it? They were never these incredible blockbuster selling games. They sold well, and of course they would do well when they went on sale and things like that. When you don't have that kind of capital investment, you're setting yourself up for a situation where you may run out of money and you only have a last ditch effort to try and get that capital, like we saw here, which reports are the company was attempting to get another investor, but that those investors backed out and were not interested, and that just pretty much set them up for having to go through this shutdown process. So when you don't have that, it really puts you in a bad spot, and the losers in it are number one of the employees. Those are paramount. The number one losers are the employees, but then second is the gamers who have contributed money, who have bought the pre-orders and things like that, and now it's uncertain if they're going to get that product. So I think it's a lot of things here that have kind of created this storm that is this Telltale situation.
I mean, when you're making what 5, 6, 7 games at a time, you're really not gonna get the best content that you think you would if you did 1 or 2 at a time.
Right.
And if they're doing it too quick, like if they're making too many games at a time, they're spending so much money at once and then not getting the revenue till that game comes out. And to be honest, if that game, blows and you don't get the revenue that you thought you were going to get, there goes all that money. So, I mean, I can see why they needed it, but give more than a 30-minute, 1 hour, whatever, not 1 week isn't even good enough. Yeah, you could go to unemployment, but you're not going to make as much money as you did. Right. And now you got to job hunt. It doesn't put you in a good spot.
Right. And I think what's interesting is this lawsuit that came about after Telltale makes the comments that they're seeking some partners to try and finish these projects. Mind you, they just laid off the people who were working on those projects. So you're basically sending a message to those employees you laid off. Hey, you don't have a job anymore, but we're going to take this money that we probably don't have or we're running out of, to instead of paying you a salary, we're just going to go pay this to XYZ company to finish this project that you were working on. So there was an interesting comment from someone I saw on Twitter. I think they were affiliated with a company I just can't remember off the top of my head. When you're on, you kind of just forget things, but it was an interesting comment that what are they going to do? Just like rifle through the computers and hope they can find the files and things like that? Because for projects like this, and this person makes a valid point, for these kind of projects, the heart and soul of game development comes from that team. So that team is really investing themselves in that game to tell that story. So when you remove that team abruptly at that and try to recreate that project, you may not, and most likely won't, recapture that magic, that energy you saw in the initial development, because again, the connections to that project, those original staff members or those people who work closely on it aren't there anymore. So when this lawsuit came about after that, I don't want to say I was surprised, because again, if from the way it's being presented, if they weren't given the notice they were allowed to have, then the company has every obligation to pay them the money they were entitled to during that time period. They would have been alerted to a possible mass layoff. I, in this situation, don't have a lot of sympathy for the company, because again, if they had the foresight and knowledge that this was going to happen, it is your duty as an employer to let your employees know that this is happening. So I wholeheartedly support what the employees are trying to do to help make their ends meet. And I like seeing the gaming community come together to let them know about job openings and trying to connect these people who need work with people who are hiring. So usually in this kind of stuff, it's great to see the community come together to try and help people when these kind of tragic business events occur. So that's at least, that's kind of that silver lining in this whole thing of this situation. People are coming together to help these guys, these men and women who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own. They came to work every day like everybody else. They just were laid off abruptly. And it's a really, really crappy place to be.
When you make a game, you know, like you were saying, when you make a game and then you have a company that tries to jump in, you're obviously gonna, you know, like we're gonna, if you play a game that now comes out, like The Walking Dead's, whatever, the new Walking Dead, when it comes out, you're gonna be able to tell that when the new company took over, because it's not gonna be the same story, obviously.
Right.
And you know, from what I was hearing about what you were saying, and from what I saw on the link that you shared to me, I hope that these people make some, you know, win the lawsuit and everything. But the problem is, how much money are they going to actually make? Like, is it even going to be, you know, like, with a lawyer and you're paying, is it going to be worth it? I hope so. You know, these people definitely deserve to get at least some money that they could afford, you know, like pay for the family and stuff like that, which only time will tell. So hopefully we can keep up on that.
Right, and we know how the legal system works. So this is, of course, going to be a long, drawn-out process, and hopefully by the time they get some sort of resolution, they will have gotten back on their feet. They will have gotten with another company or found a new avenue to make money and have work and things like that. And this can just be kind of the closure of a chapter that they maybe was kind of want to put behind them in terms of the, I guess, management side of it, but maybe not the, I guess, creative product, the actual games itself. That's probably something they're very proud of. But when it comes to the managerial side, probably a situation they want to kind of put behind them, which is completely understandable. But overall, it's just a really crappy situation. I will say from my experience, like I said, playing a lot of these games, I played the first Walking Dead game and there was a soul there. There was a really strong story. Again, like I said earlier, there's the Walking Dead, the Telltale Games don't really shatter the mold when it comes to adventure games, but it's really the storytelling. And I think the first game was really good at telling a story. The second game and thereon didn't really draw me in as deeply as that first game. And when I started branching out and trying some of the other games, I never played Wolf Among Us. I never got around to that one. But when I started playing some of the other games, I played both seasons of Minecraft Story Mode. Minecraft Season 1 was really good. Minecraft Season 2, I really didn't enjoy. I think that was one I talked to you about. I really found it kind of boring and didn't finish it. Tales from the Borderlands was actually really fun. Again, not to the level that The Walking Dead was. Yes, they're telling two different stories, two different tones, but still not the same level of, oh my god, this is so compelling, this is so good. But when I got to Game of Thrones, that game was something. It was forgettable, I'll put it that way. I didn't really enjoy it. I could barely tell you what happened in it because I didn't really enjoy the story. I get what they tried to do with the story because, of course, they want to incorporate the main characters in there without, I guess, affecting the story in terms of where those people are in the show. So you could tell they were trying to dance around it in the way they wrote the story, and I really didn't enjoy it. I think that was one of the last Telltale games I played. I know I played these kind of out of order from when they were released, but that was one of the last ones I played. I've watched people play the full thing of Walking Dead Michonne, which I didn't, and I still don't see, and I agree with people, I don't see why they released that game at all, because it really didn't do anything to advance the story to where it is now. Never really played Batman, and I kind of just dropped out there. I did play one of their first ones, Back to the Future, and that was a dreadful play, and it was so boring, and I never want to go through that experience again. I know it was one of their first games, but whoo, doggy, that was rough. That was a rough one to try and just like stomach through. like I said, I just personally wish the best for those developers. In terms of the gamers who have kind of gone online and said we deserve, uh, there's been this kind of little undercurrent of people who have said, well, we the gamers deserve to get the final 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, in spite of the fact of what the employees are going through. So in that argument, I kind of disagree and say I think the situation with the employees need to be addressed first before the gamers' wish for a game coming out should be satisfied. Because again, the people who are making the game, the people who are making this game, are the ones who just got laid off. So I personally believe they should be taken care of first before you get your shiny little game. And to kind of be that selfish kind of just bothers me, because coming from that position of being laid off, it's like if I found out my boss was like, well, we laid you off, but we're not going to pay you any severance or everything. We're going to take this money we could have paid you with and go finish the project you were working on. That would really rub me the wrong way in a lot of ways. And I kind of see it from those employees' perspective of, look, we're the ones working on this project. We worked on it for a long time. We should be the ones finishing it. Or at the very least, you should compensate us for these extreme lack of notice and give us some severance while we try to find a new job and everything like that. That's kind of where I am on this whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, I played I played The Walking Dead season 1, and then I have a bunch of them downloaded I never even touched. So there's that.
Right.
That's my only but the first season of Walking Dead was actually really phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It hooked me. I had to, finish it all in one day.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any much more to say because I mean, the only thing lastly is I just hope these people at least make some money, get into a new company, and
exactly,
make another good game. That's
yeah.
It's my last words of that.
Yeah, and again, I think that's the takeaway here. Like, I think the story should be, yes, Telltale is going through this situation, but I think the true story should be there are these over 200 people who are without a job, who are looking for work, and hopefully the industry will continue to make themselves available to get these people back to work so they can make a living for themselves or their families. That's the big takeaway here. And of course, if anything else comes up, we'll bring it up on the next podcast. But that's kind of where we are now as we record this. Just more layoffs, more uncertainty, and just really a bad time over at Telltale Games. But we don't want to kind of make the entire episode kind of a downer kind of thing. While we were gone, as we mentioned earlier, we had 2 of the betas for Call of Duty, and that's perfect because Call of Duty comes out next week, right? Or the week after?
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
1 week from today.
Cool. So we won't be recording anything probably for the next 2 months because Cory's going to be trying Prestige, so it's fine. So I think it's a perfect time to go ahead and kind of dive in to the betas. Yes, I know they've been passed for a while, but I think it's a good chance to maybe talk about them, but also maybe you can talk about some of the things you liked, you didn't like, and some of the things you hope to see in the release coming up next week. So we had 2 betas. We had the actual multiplayer, and then we had the Battle Royale. So I'll let you talk about that. And I watched you play some of that for a bit and everything, so I might have my own thoughts too. But so kind of talk about what you were thinking about the beta and what you hope comes out next week.
Well, since Call of Duty comes out next week, I want to bring up that on Treyarch Twitter and Charlie Intel, there's going to be 14 maps available on day 1, with 15 total after Nuketown launches for free for everyone in November. So there was a 5-second video of every map that was a sneak peek. So you got to see everything that's coming, which actually is I think I don't want to go like crazy like prediction, but not prediction, but like I want to say that this is the first time that they are releasing the maps or showing the maps before the game comes out. But I'm excited for it, so we'll see. But to the beta,
yeah, well, before we get to that question, so when you say the maps, so they showed a preview of the maps, do you mean when they say 14 or so maps will be available, that's gonna be out of the box day 1?
Yes, we have Frequency, Contraband,
There you go.
Seaside, Payload, Hacienda, Gridlock. That was all in the beta. Then we have Arsenal, Icebreaker, Morocco, Militai. Then we have the last four maps that are coming back, which is Jungle, Slums, Firing Range, and Summit. And those are all back from the previous Black Ops games. I'm actually pretty excited for the ones coming back because they actually look really good now. I mean, don't get me wrong, they looked good when when they were in their original game.
Yeah.
But now updated graphics and everything, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Right.
But the beta, let's start with the multiplayer beta because that was what was that? September? No,
that was in August.
August.
Is that right before COD Champs, or was that after?
Yeah, I want to say like August 10th to the 13th or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what days were the weekends, but it was that weekend. It was the weekend before that was PlayStation. I don't, we're not playing the PlayStation, so there's that. But I enjoyed it. There's a new game mode that's called Heist, which I think it was called Heist. It's been a while. It had the CS:GO. It had the CS:GO feel with the Call of Duty, and you had to buy guns, buy perks and stuff like that. I actually enjoyed it. I think that would be a lot of fun just because you start off with pistol, having nothing, and then you have to get kills and everything, earn money, which is a new thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's in CS:GO, but CS:GO is a totally different game than Call of Duty. So I think it's a cool new game type that I will most likely enjoy just because you start with nothing. So there's that.
How can you say you forgot the name of the game type when we did a video on it while you were playing it? A video you should watch after you watch this one. Just throwing it out there.
Plugging it.
Just saying.
It was 2 months ago. Things just forget.
God, time flies.
Yeah. But graphics look great. Very bright and vibrant. What else? There's more guns to come that we obviously didn't get to see. There's more maps that we just get to see a 5-second video of. So there's that. For the first week in the beta, they had the armor, which it was too loud. So then Treyarch went right away, fixed it by the next weekend. So there's that.
Right.
So I'm liking that they're making improvements and everything. So there's that. I don't know. I'm excited to see more, but from what the maps I played right now, I actually liked it. Hacienda was definitely my favorite. I don't know. It felt like an old Call of Duty 4 map. To me, I mean, other than it had more vibrant colors, but I mean, what'd you think about the multiplayer beta from the video we saw?
Well,
I mean, the video I made, recorded. My bad.
You mean the one that I was present with you for as you recorded it? What does that mean?
Well, like you saw me play,
I saw you play it. You made it seem like I wasn't there at all. No, I like the look of the game. I'm going to be completely real. Call of Duty games, well, I guess let me backpedal that. Most first-person shooter games kind of make me a little nauseous when I play it. And I don't know what it is about those games, but they bother me a little bit. This one, while I think the game looks fantastic and awesome and all those other cool adjectives, I don't know how much I'm going to play it because I kind of get this feeling it's going to cause that issue to come back that I've been dealing with. So I'll say this. The game looked really good. It seemed like a very comfortable game so far. I, of course, know you're going to get different guns and you'll be able to experience different maps and things like that. But so far, at least watching you play, 'cause I know you play hundreds of hours of Call of Duty, seeing you play it and to be able to adapt to it, it seems that this game is not really, I guess, straying from what you expect from the Black Ops line of games, correct?
I mean, it's different because you went from so the last previous games we had Advanced Warfare. There was a jetpack. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, let's back that up even more. Black Ops 1. I'm gonna go through all the Black Ops. Black Ops 1 was a slow pace gun game, whatever. Black Ops 2, same thing, very slow. You just shoot and go. Then we go to Ghost, which is the same thing. Then we had Advanced Warfare, so change everything you knew about COD. Now you have jetpacks. So then you go to Black Ops 3, which another jetpack game. Fast pace, probably. I want to say it was probably the fastest pace Call of Duty. So there's that, and then you had IW, which let's not talk about that one, and World War II,
Everyone
which
loves it.
Yeah, everybody loved it. All right, and then we had World War II, which probably was the most slowest Call of Duty game we've ever experienced. You know,
I
maybe
enjoyed that game.
yeah, maybe Call of Duty 2 could beat it. I don't know, but now we're going from one of the slowest to. I'm not gonna say it's faster than Black Ops 3 or Advanced Warfare, but it's pretty fast. I mean,
Right.
I can understand why you said you get like motion sickness and everything, because it is a very, very fast-paced game.
It's also because I'm terribly old and getting too old for video games, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not old at all. Whatever. Anyway, so I don't know. We're going from a slow-paced game to a fast-paced game. I'm excited to see how it's gonna be. But I think it's gonna be better just because there's gonna be so much more action in it. I mean, also add the vibrant colors and everything. That that is more appealing to the eye. But
I completely agree with that, considering, no offense to World War II, it looked like someone just took like dirty dishwater and just like painted it over the screen on most of the maps. It's just everything looked brown and gray except for maybe a couple maps.
I mean, there's nothing.
Arden's Forest.
There's nothing you really could do to a World War II game to make it look vibrant. I mean, it wasn't a
Right.
vibrant time, so everybody complains about it looks ugly, but realistically,
Well,
World War II
right.
it wasn't a good time in life.
I mean, yes, we could definitely say that. No, I get the point that you're making, and I get the creative design they were going for, because of course that style does invoke a mental association of vintage and an older time. So I get why they did it. It's funny to just be like, we're going from a very muted, I guess that's where I use low saturation for most of the experience, to, man, someone turned down to saturation on some of these maps on Black Ops 4. My God. Whew, it is bright. It is loud.
What did I say during the? I want to say I said
remember. It was
this
2
during
months
the
ago.
video. I want to say I said this during the video. It's like no. Okay, so when Trials Fusion came out,
Yes.
it's like a game. Fuck the crayon box.
Okay. I would remember that. I don't, but I'm sad I didn't.
I think I said it during the video. But
Okay.
anyway, that's basically what it is.
All right, well,
It's
you
like
said
you're
it
going
now.
from the most dull game to a crayon box that, whatever. But yeah, so at the end of it, I'm very excited for that. And I very much enjoyed it. I wish I played a lot more than I did. And trust me, I did play a lot because I got to the max level and got my prestige token. But there's that.
Did you even go outside?
I did.
Okay.
I wish I played more. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for next week. 7 days. Not even 7 days. Yeah, I mean, we got 14 maps. 14
That's a lot of
vibrant maps. Yep, and 15 in a month from now. So, the bringing back another Nuketown. Well, I'm excited to see how that one's going to be, because it literally went from regular Nuketown to just burnt in Black Ops 3, I want to say. Like, just
got nuked.
whatever. Yeah.
I'll
And
go ahead and
then-
leave, and you can do the rest of the episode. after.
and I don't know. I think it was Black Ops 2. It was like 2025, so it was out new. It was,
Right.
So, I'm excited to see the new fashioned Nuketown.
Mhm.
And, even in... So now let's... since we're talking about Nuketown, we'll go right to the Battle Royale beta.
Yeah, we got to jump into Blackout, because I feel like, yes, Call of Duty is of course, gets the attention, but I think people are really going to be watching how they execute on their Battle Royale mode, particularly as Fortnite continues to just see record numbers month after month, and we're going into this month as they come off of record numbers. Very curious to see how people receive Blackout I think you liked Blackout when I watched you play a few rounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did like it. I mean, I did play Fortnite. There's that, but I haven't played Fortnite in a while, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to get back into another battle royale game. So Blackout will be the one that I'm gonna play. I mean,
Right.
Fortnite is done for me. Let's just say that right now.
Okay.
Fortnite is just it's wraps. You got Call of Duty coming out. There's just Call of Duty, and Call of Duty. There's nothing
Right.
else in that. But yeah, the Nuketown battle in Blackout was another Nuketown where it got nuked. It looked like, and then the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the map looked fine. I guess that's why it's on its own island.
Right.
I don't know. The only thing, I mean, there's one thing I want to change about it, and that is the sniping.
Hmm.
You go from Fortnite sniping where you have to lean up, and you have to arc your shots, or you have to shoot in front of them, which in Blackout you do have to, but it looks and it just feels so much easier. And for a sniper, I feel like, especially if you're shooting, from a very far distance,
Right.
it should be a lot harder than it was. And so that's one thing I think that they should change. Which do I think that they're going to? Is no, I don't think at all. I think that what they should change, and what they actually this is what I think they actually will change, and holding more ammo, because you run out of ammo immediately. Like, your gun just, I don't know what it is. It's just you get a extended mag and it just holds nothing.
Hmm.
And by the time you run out, you're into another gunfight, because it's a very fast pace.
Right.
Like, it's not slow at all, which is fun. I like that it's very fast paced. I'm curious to see if it's gonna go to 100 players, because it went from 60 to 80,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think that it went from actually 80 to 100,
Hmm.
but I don't know if they're gonna actually run the game at 100,
Right.
which I feel like more the merrier, because the map is huge anyway. So let's just get a little bit more people. I do wish that you didn't have to hold to pick something up. You can just press, like on Xbox.
Right.
You have to hold X to pick something up instead of just pressing. Like, when I first played, I was just pressing because I didn't read the hold X. So I don't know. I feel like it would make it a lot faster if you. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really fast anyway, but there's that. I do like Fortnite, when you die, everything drops onto the ground.
Right.
I like that. And Blackout has where you have to go to the backpack and everything. It's whatever. You can't copy everything from Fortnite, so there's that. I guess lastly, don't die as quick. I mean, I feel like you just die immediately. Actually, there's one more thing. Other than, yeah, I feel like you should have. I mean, it sucks because you already have 200 health if you have the trauma kit, or you have 150 health. You can go all the way to the, max health. Or, what was I gonna say? Oh, when you're in the zone, not in the zone. When you're out of the zone and the storm is, I can't remember what it was that they called it, but I'm just gonna go on Fortnite's perspective.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're in the storm, I feel like you could just survive for so long in the storm. I just feel like there's no way you could die. As long as somebody's not shooting you, you could just survive and survive and survive and survive.
Right.
You have 200 health, and it brings down 2 health per second or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Considering where you're starting in terms of health, that doesn't sound too
I mean,
bad.
you even start at 150.
Right.
I could, and you run really fast anyway, so you could. You're not gonna beat out the storm, but I don't know. I just feel like you could run so long into the storm without dying, and I feel like they should probably. I'm not saying make a drastic change to the amount of health it takes out. If it's taken out 2, take out 3, or take out
Right.
4. Double it, whatever. Make it seem like that you actually need to get into the storm. Because, I mean, I know, like, I was just playing just for fun, just messing around, and I'm shooting against 2 other people in the storm, and I'm not even close
Right.
to the zone. I kill both of them, and I run to the storm. I run to the zone, and I made it out alive, easy, with many bandages left, a trauma kit, and whatever the other health pack thing is called, the one that gives you more health, whatever it's called. The med kit, there we go. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I don't know. I just feel like you should be able to survive a lot die a lot quicker. So it's not like, because like I'll be in the storm. I'll be. Oh my god, I keep saying storm. I'll be in the zone, and I always have to check my back because I feel like somebody's just gonna come out of the storm, which shouldn't be like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, but do you think that? So you think that's something they should kind of change a little bit, heading into the release of it? Because
Yeah.
Blackout mode is gonna launch day one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that they should make too much changes with it. I'm just saying, just add like a little bit more health that the storm will knock off.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make it, like you need to get into the zone. Not, don't worry about it. I could fight in the storm all day. So.
Or like staying out in the storm for a little bit to get an advantage becomes like the meta, as they say. I could see that.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, Fortnite has it where it's 2 health every second. I think it's yeah. So it's not like the first storm you really need to get into the zone, but like the last storm is 10. You start to get knocked off by 10 health. I mean, literally stay there for 5 seconds and you're down to 50 health.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So my only question is, when this game comes out next Friday, where are you going to kind of go first? Are you going to dive into Battle Royale mode, or are you going to just kind of jump right into standard multiplayer? Since single player is not really a thing. Like, that's not really a thing anymore, the way they're doing it. So which one are you going to go for? Michael doesn't know how to podcast. Which one are you going to go for first?
Is that a serious question?
That is a serious question. I said it with my serious voice.
100% multiplayer. There's no way I'm going to Blackout right away. There's no way. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first weekend, next weekend, I am going to go into Blackout.
Yeah.
But there is no way I'm going into Blackout first. I mean, I 100% every COD I've ever played, I've gone into the multiplayer first, and so there's that. But I did see Optic Crimsix video about the roster change and everything, since now that it's going to 5v5 instead of 6. Oh yeah, talk about that. Call of Duty is now 6. It's not 6v6 anymore. It's 5v5. So the rosters aren't 4v4 for competitive anymore. It is now 5v5. So that means the maps are probably a little bit bigger. Whatever. It's gonna work around 5v5, not 4v4. But he came out with a video about the roster change, and he said he was worried that the game is going to be too much into Blackout, which I don't see it being like that, because I mean, you have a lot of people that are dedicated to the multiplayer,
right?
But I mean, if it's going to get people to play Call of Duty and the Twitch of Call of Duty is going to rise, and Call of Duty gets survived again because of a Blackout,
right?
Then well be it. I am okay with a lot of people going to Blackout. I could see his frustrations just because he's in competitive and he's hoping that competitive doesn't get dried out from it. But I don't think it will. It's just a whole nother scene that I think people won't. But only time can tell.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to be intrigued to see how the competitive scene for Call of Duty adapts to this game. I don't know. As a casual player, one of those players who's kind of looked down upon, the casual Call of Duty player, I enjoy watching the competitive side of it. I'll never be a competitive player, obviously, but I enjoy seeing that, and I enjoy seeing how the teams will adapt to it. So when the first event comes up, when is that going to be, in November or December?
It is December 17th to the 19th, Las Vegas.
Okay, that's what I thought. So when that first kind of competitive event gets underway, that's what I'm really going to be watching, to see how these teams look and adapt to it. It's like you said, I don't think, I get his concern, but I also don't, in my opinion, I don't think that Blackout is going to be a huge detractor or is going to pull away from that competitive scene as much as maybe he thinks it might. I think there are definitely going to be some people who are going to be maybe lured away from multiplayer to Blackout mode, but I still think the crux of the multiplayer experience is going to be in those multiplayer lobbies and those standard competitive style events like your hard points and those different game types. I think Blackout mode could introduce more people to a more competitive first person shooter experience, but I don't think it's going to do as much to detract away. I think the one thing we talked about was the new mode they added, that heist mode, and how that game type looks very, I guess, attractive to maybe a newer player, and it's something different. Could that come on the competitive scene? Again, I think we both agree that probably not. But again, it could be something that attracts someone new to maybe try out the more competitive game types. That mode could get them into trying out some guns, things like that, and then eventually transition them into wanting to try and do a more competitive game type, more competitive lobbies and things like that. Speaking of that, do you know anything about, like, if you don't, it's fine. Do you know if they're doing anything about like competitive playlists or lobbies and things like that? I know that was a concern of yours back on World War II. You know if they're doing anything like that?
Well, on Black Ops 2 League Play, I think it was the first time League Play was introduced. Or was it? No, it was League Play. Then in Black Ops 3, it was there again. So, you know, I don't know. Black Ops always, or Treyarch, I should say, always had a good competitive playlist for casual players like myself. So, I mean, it was well balanced. You play with people that actually either didn't really do really good or sucked. I mean, I remember, you know, going into World War II's ranked plays, and it was almost every game somebody left. So now you're at a disadvantage, and you lose the same amount of points as somebody did you lose the same amount of you lose the points when you didn't deserve it because somebody else left. So there's that. Then you play with somebody, one person gets 60 kills, does whatever, great. Next game you're playing with somebody that goes 0-13 or something, 0-30 or something like that. It's like there's no balanced play. It's just, it was very bad, and it's just something I didn't have fun playing. Right. But yeah, I mean, they introduced League Play again for Black Ops 4, so I'm excited for that. And you know, if it's balanced like all the other games were, then I'll be playing that a lot more than just casual multiplayer. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll be playing casual multiplayer right away. Right. You know, you got to get some prestiges up. I mean, I got 10 prestige in the last Black Ops, so I got to keep it going, right?
Of course.
But speaking back to the multiplayer beta, that ABR 223 and Swordfish, cut those out of the game. I'm kidding. kidding. Don't actually cut them out of the game, but you gotta force a way to make them less powerful. I mean, literally, there was no reason to use a submachine gun because the ABR. Then the Swordfish got into it after, but I could have ran ABR as a submachine gun. It was just, the damage was good. It shot way too fast. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I know I mentioned it during the video that we made. I know for a fact we mentioned it. Oh, I mentioned it many, many times. I tried using a cordite in the MX-9 as much, but I mean, when you're just getting shot halfway down the map from a gun that doesn't miss and it doesn't take much skill to use, which, speaking of, Treyarch said that they will implement different recoils for every gun, which I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm very, 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 very excited for that, because now it can make a gun really good, really bad, or somebody could be extremely good with it, and the next person can be like, wait, why? I can't even use this. It's the worst gun ever. So I'm very excited for that. It reminds me of like a little bit of CSGO, and CSGO is one of the most competitive games on the planet right now, so there's that. All right. But yeah, I don't know. It's either nerf those guns or buff the submachine guns. But only time will tell in one exact week from now, when I'll be non-stop playing it and hurting my thumbs. But
it's fine.
Yeah.
That scuff control will be just fine. It'll be very comfortable for you.
Yes, it will.
Oh man. Well, I know we spent a lot of time on those two topics, and I think we want to kind of touch on a couple other things that kind of developed in the gaming world. Nothing bad or anything. Just some. We had 2 Nintendo Directs, by the way, between our last podcast and today. We had one in August, in early August, and one in September. Not a few weeks ago. A few days ago, sorry. But a few weeks ago. Michael also forgot how to use a calendar. It's fine. It's fine.
Do you not know what day it is?
What's today again? Oh, God.
Today is October 5th, 2018.
I'm saying that a Nintendo Direct was days ago when it was actually like on like the 10th or 11th. So I'm super smart today. But long story short, and delusional, unable to use calendars short, we had 2 Nintendo Directs over the last about 2 months or so. One was focused specifically on Smash Brothers, which everyone knows is the game I'm really excited about. And then last month we had a kind of general Nintendo Direct where we kind of just hit on a lot of stuff that's going to be coming for the next few weeks. Next few months and the next year. Plus also finding out about Nintendo's, I don't want to say great, I don't want to say good, I don't want to say it's awful, but meh online service, Nintendo Switch Online. So I'll kind of catch you up on some of the stuff that got said in August, which wasn't a lot. It was very Smash oriented, obviously, and then hit on some of the points of that Nintendo Direct from last month, kind of bring it all together. So in August, we got that Nintendo Direct about 26 minutes long, all focused on Smash Brothers. So we saw it really a lot at E3, had that full, I want to say 26 minutes by itself at E3 within their Nintendo Direct there. So this time we got another one dedicated specifically to Smash, and right off the bat we started off with the reveal of 2 new characters. So we got Simon and Richter Belmont from the Castlevania series, so they'll be in this game. Along with them, they'll be bringing the Dracula's Castle stage from the Castlevania universe, and over 30 tracks from the Castlevania series. So that now brings that character count of characters in this game to nearly 70 at that point. So we already got them, and now we're getting a few more characters on top of that, because noted, Richter is this thing called an Echo Fighter. Basically, an Echo Fighter is going to be a fighter who shares the same slot as another pre-established fighter. So that sounds confusing, but basically it means this fighter, while having a similar moveset to this one fighter, has some different things that make it different from that person, but not different enough that it's a individual character. So within that, Richter is a Echo Fighter to Simon. So we have a bunch of Echo Fighters, and we got even more of those with Dark Samus and Crom. They're also Echo Fighters of their respective players as well. So that roster just keeps growing. We got some numbers thrown at us about Smash. There are going to be over 800 music tracks in the game. So as I mentioned before, we got 35 just from the Castlevania universe. But then you're going to, of course, have so many different Nintendo properties and some non-Nintendo, like Sonic and all these others who are third parties, represented. So that brings that total to over 800. And then the stages, which is just ridiculous. We're going to have over 100 stages. I think the number was 103 if you include Battlefield, Final Destination, and Big Battlefield. Take those away, it's flat 100 right now. What's crazy is Smash Brothers, the first one for N64, only had 9. Smash Brothers Melee had 29. So when you look at how far we've come over the last roughly 20 years of this franchise, it's insane. So we also saw some, going back to the stages thing, what's really cool about stages. So in the Smash community, there's always that joke of, oh, well, let's just take it to Final Destination, no items, blah, blah, blah. Because that flat, no interference kind of level. But now all the stages, all 100, will have Battlefield versions and Omega versions, which are, the Battlefield versions are going to be your versions with the, well, make sure I have this right, the 3 panels, like the 2 levels on top and then 1 in the center. and then the Omega versions are just completely flat. So if you want to have like tournaments where you don't want to have stage hazards and things like that, you can turn those off. You can also do the flat stages with every stage in the game. So that opens things up to some diversity in terms of settings. We got to see a lot of new items and see some new Pokemon that they always add to these games. So we got a lot of Pokemon from the Sun and Moon universe from the Alola region. And we got to see some new game types joining some of the older ones. So we got tournament mode back, really popular game types. So you can have tournaments in-house. Like, I think they've been doing that since, I want to say Melee, but I could be wrong. I think it was Melee. Can't remember if they did it in the first Smash Brothers game. But then they also had the Squad Strike mode, where 2 players will be able to choose 5 characters to go up against each other in 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 matches. So that's a really interesting game type. Kind of reminds me of the the Capcom versus Marvel series, where you can pick a bunch of characters on your side and you can fight with them, and whoever has most characters in the end wins. So it kind of reminds me of that. Then the 26-minute show ends with this video of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Then it's revealed that King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong series will be added to the game. So now we're at 71 characters in the game as of August, which is ridiculous. I still don't know how we're going to do this. I think like you're going to have to unlock a lot of these characters through progression, but I hope it's not a slog to try and unlock a lot of these characters. This is getting a little ridiculous because we're at 71 now. And I think the last game had 59, which included DLC. So while I'm excited, that's a lot of characters. I don't know quite what to make of it. It's going to be a packed screen to select from. So that was all August. That was the only direct we had. Then we went to September. So with September, we were supposed to have the direct one day in September, but due to a natural disaster in Japan, they delayed it, and it was held later in the month. And this one again was really general, and a lot of good stuff came out of this one. We got right off the bat that we were getting a new Luigi's Mansion game. Luigi's Mansion 3 is the working title, so that's gonna be an exclusive Switch title coming next year. So that's been confirmed. A few titles here or there for the Nintendo 3DS, of course. Some titles that have already come out on other platforms, but we're getting Kirby's Epic Yarn, stuff like that. The original Luigi's Mansion is coming to the 3DS later this month. Then we kind of shifted gears and focused on the Switch, which is generally what Nintendo does with the more general directs. We kind of start off with generally the 3DS, kind of get them out of the way, which I feel like that's what Nintendo does, just kind of gets it out of the way. Let's get it over with. Then we spend the bulk of the time talking about the Switch. So we talked about some stuff coming up with Splatoon 2, kind of their competitive, family-friendly shooter, as I like to call it. Getting some new stages as part of their 4.0 update. The Mega Man 11 game that just came out. That game is going to support Amiibo play, so you can use your Mega Man Amiibo on that game. Mario Tennis Aces is getting some new characters. Birdo, Shy Guy, Koopa Paratrooper, and Petey Piranha will all be playable characters. A few other games are coming to the system, but really the crux of that event was spent... How do I phrase this? I think for the watching public, the crux of that event was spent focusing on 2 things. One, obviously, Nintendo Switch Online, and 2 being the announcement that Nintendo is working on a true mainline Animal Crossing title, and I'll kind of touch on both of those. Long story short, with Animal Crossing, the fans have been clamoring for a true Animal Crossing game for a very long time, and now they're finally going to possibly get it. And we don't know many details. It's merely a splash screen and kind of like this teaser to get people excited. But at this point, it looks like the fans will finally get that game on a Switch probably sometime in 2019. The other takeaway, so that's what got the internet excited, at least for the Animal Crossing community. The entire community was watching the Nintendo Switch Online, which launched late last month. Excuse me. And what this is the introduction of Nintendo offering paid subscription online, services. So, long story short, it's $3.99 a month or $20 for a year, or you can do a family plan where you get up to 8 Nintendo accounts can be on the same plan for $35 a year, which works out if you get 8 people to do it together. That's about $4 per person for a year. So kind of some savings there. But as with all these online paid services like Xbox Live, like PlayStation Network, you have to have the online service in order to play online. So stuff like Smash and Mario Kart are going to be behind that paywall of having to have that subscription. Now, Fortnite has already come out and said they're not. You don't have to have that. Our game will allow you to play online without that service, because of course that's a free to play. That's a free to play game with the option of buying the V-Bucks and things like that. So they're keeping that option open for people who have to Switch, who want to play Fortnite. You'll still be able to play that without having to have a account with them. So the advantages of having that their online service, you get access to their retro catalog of NES games. So right now it launched with like 20 games. They're going to add 3 more NES titles sometime during this month. And you can take those you can take those games with you, but the caveat is, one, you have to make sure you're signed in to the internet at least once during that 7-day period between when you download it. So let's say you downloaded day 1. If you don't get back online within 7 days, you lose access to that game, because the system needs to check in every 7 days at some point during the 7-day period while you have it to confirm that you still have a subscription. If your subscription runs out or you let it lapse, you also lose access to that game. On top of that, the other big thing was cloud saves. So as we know, a lot of these game systems, the PlayStation, the Xbox, and even PC with Steam, offers cloud storage and cloud saves for your games. Nintendo is offering that, but there's some quirkiness with it. One, you have to... How do I put this? If your subscription runs out, at launch, you would not have access to your cloud saves once your subscription ran out. So let's say your system died and you need to pull down your Super Mario Odyssey save. If your subscription ran out, you would not have access to get it. After the backlash from that kind of convoluted system, they've now said you have 6 months. You have until 6 months after your subscription ran out to be able to get your cloud saves and things like that. So it's a little better for consumers. Still a little bit antiquated because there's no way to actually back up your data on the Switch. So that's a problem. The other thing that people had the biggest issue with was the fact that you can't actually back up your system on your own. Like, you can't just put an external hard drive to it and get your data. And the other side of it was some of the games will not support cloud saves. So they say it's to, quote, prevent cheating. But some games like Splatoon 2, again, their big competitive kind of shooting game, and the Pokemon Let's Go games will not support cloud saves. So if your system gets damaged somehow and you lose and it's broken, you will likely lose all your data for those games and other games too. So that's been the big thing. And everyone kind of sees it as Nintendo taking a step forward, but a step back. And there are a bunch of little issues in this here and there of, well, now you're paying for the service, so you should be getting a higher quality product and dedicated servers and things like that. I think only time will tell how this service is rolling out. I feel, in my opinion, people are very captivated by we get the retro catalog of NES games, but I still don't think it's enough for me to go and buy the service yet. I'll probably buy it to play Smash Bros. Online, but at this point, on October 5th, I have no intention of buying this service because, again, it doesn't offer me enough. Even though it is cheap, it doesn't offer me enough to want to go ahead and buy and pay for this service, at least right now. That's kind of a recap of 2 Nintendo Directs in a matter of like less than 10 minutes. So you're welcome. And I need a drink of water.
Well, then that's when I'll put my input in. I'm excited for a new Luigi's Mansion. Very excited for that. I played the original, absolutely loved it. So very excited for that. I'd never played Animal Crossing, so I really can't put any input on that. actually really don't know too much about it. All I know is that there's animals in it. But I don't know. I have a question. Why can't they just like? Cause I wouldn't spend money on the subscription anyway. I mean, like it kind of is pointless. It sounds pointless, I should say. But now that I didn't just read it. But I read Super Mario Party isn't really doing as great as I was hoping in reviews and whatnot.
Right.
But I'm still gonna get it. So there's that. I mean, you can't stop me. So I gotta get it. But my question is, why can't Nintendo come out with something like Xbox or PlayStation? Like, you literally have an account and everything saves to that account, and it doesn't matter how long you get on, how long you that has nothing to do with it. You could come on in 2 years and you have that account still. Good, okay. So that's just my question.
I think that, and not to harbor on it too long, and kind of see we're approaching that clock, but my perspective is from just following Nintendo for all these years. No offense to Nintendo, because I grew up a Nintendo kid and all that. They have a tendency to go one step forward, two steps backward, in my opinion, where they make great progress. For example, with the Switch. The Switch is a great platform, and I think they're really doing a good job with it. And I think it has potential as a home console, and it's showing it has potential. But then they do these things with their online service that just seem very antiquated, very backward, and contrary to what their competitors are offering. And I just don't quite understand the mindset that they're in when they make some of the decisions of what they're doing. Like, again, the cloud save thing, where you understand that there's no real way to back up your system, back up your save data. So you would have to use cloud saves, but you're not only putting it behind a paywall. On top of that, you are making it so, well, if your subscription runs out, initially, if your subscription ran out, you lose access to that cloud save that you had. So let's say, for example, you had to send your system off and you have 1 month left on your subscription. It takes them 31 days to get it fixed and send it back to you. And you may not be able to get your cloud save at that point. Now they've made it 6 months, which, according to what I've read, is comparable to what Sony offers in that situation. But at the same time, Sony offers physical backups that you can do. You can plug up an external hard drive and back up your saved data. So I just don't quite get why Nintendo, when I think they do have the ability to have an ear to the community and an ear to the industry, makes decisions that are kind of like, that leave you scratching your chin going, why exactly? I don't know.
It just feels lazy sometimes.
I guess it could be perceived as lazy, but I think it also could just be they are set in their ways and the way they want to do certain things, and they see maybe adapting some of the things that maybe their competitors do as being a copy to them, and they want to just keep doing things their own way. And again, it works to an extent sometimes because it works with their handheld games. They still have a stranglehold on that market, and it works when they break the mold and kind of go in this direction like they did with the Switch. But then in some instances it doesn't, like we see here with with their online service. So maybe they'll keep working on it and make it better as it continues to launch. Let's remember that Xbox Live, when it launched back on the original Xbox, it was a very bare bones service, and they built on it as the years went on. Here's hoping that Nintendo decides to take what they have and then build on it as we go forward. But I think the initial launch product, while a bunch of people have signed up for it, isn't as strong as I think people wanted it to be at that time. I didn't sign up for it.
Well, if you didn't sign up for it, then I'm definitely not going to.
I know I won't sign up for it until at least when Smash Bros. Comes out, because then I'm going to want to play online, but I'm going to even backpedal that a little bit and say I probably won't sign up for it until a few months after I play into that game a little bit. I want to kind of just play it offline, have some fun, get my skills up. Then maybe I'll go ahead and do a month online and see how I like it and go from there. Or see if someone wants to go in on a family plan and we just split the costs between us and we all get Switch Online for 12 months. Hint, hint, I'm dropping that hint to you since you're getting a Switch later this year. So that's an option.
Guy.
That's an option.
He is already talking about it.
I'm clever, man.
No, I mean, it's the same way that I do with COD. I play, regular casual multiplayer for a little bit, and I jump into competitive after. But,
so I definitely want to play around with the with things and just have some fun initially, and then maybe I'll go ahead and try to get some online in and just see how it is. But right now the product's just not there for me and everything, so that's kind of like my view on this whole situation. And not to belabor the point, I think while it's good they're launching a product and maybe they'll take some of that money that they will get through subscriptions and invest it in their infrastructure for online. Again, the value is just not there, and I don't know if the value is going to be there for consumers at Christmas time going to get the system, save the ability to go ahead and play online games like Smash Brothers. I think that'll be the main reason why people buy it, but I don't see anything else outside the benefits of it. Yeah, it's cool you get the NES library, but again, I know people who have the NES Classic, and well, there they go. They have that. Yes, you can take the games on the go. That's cool, but again, they have the NES Classic. I have the SNES Classic, so I'll just play that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see how it goes in the holiday season. We'll see how they maybe pivot and adjust things, or maybe not as we get into November and December.
Maybe they'll come out with something else. But I know we're coming up on the 70-minute mark, so it's time to wrap it up. I just have one last thing to say.
Say it before I shut off the episode. That's
PlayStation, Sony, you guys finally come out with crossplay.
Crossplay?
What was it? It is crossplay. Okay, crossplay for Fortnite.
Yes.
Congratulations! It's about damn time.
Well, I mean, they had to deal with the press of everyone seeing everyone else do it, and it just wasn't a great look. And of course, I'm sure that there are plenty of logistics and stuff behind it. And the company came out openly and said, "Hey, it's not just like flipping a switch for us to do this. It takes time and logistics," which completely true. That completely makes sense. But at the same time, I think that they were being put in a position where everyone else is offering this and it's just making us look like the outlier in this. So I think it was a matter of time before they went ahead and did it, and they finally did cave. And I think they did it at the right time, again, as we're heading into the holiday season with a lot of these games coming out that could offer crossplay along with the ones that already exist. I think it was a smart move to go ahead and just try and get the infrastructure in place to make it work. Great job on them getting it done.
Yeah, but there's that, and that's
nice
all
ending.
I didn't know what to say.
Can we just end the episode on that? And that's that.
And that's our wrap.
Roll the credits. There are no credits. Okay. Anyway. All right. Well, I opened the show, so you go ahead and close it.
All right, guys. If you guys could please give a like, comment, subscribe, it will really help out the channel as we now go through this holiday. Wow.
What are you, me?
As we go through this holiday season, that more games are coming out, so there will be a lot more content coming, and just wait and see.
I'm looking forward to it.
See you later.
Later, guys.